right, guys, welcome to Men Don't Talk United episode 4, I believe it is. Feels like it's started a long time ago, to be honest with you. So it feels like I probably should have done more than 4 now. But anyway, so today I've got, I would say, a good buddy of mine, Claude. And Claude, it's really good to have you on Men Don't Talk United. So if you wouldn't mind, just give everybody a bit of an introduction of yourself and maybe a little bit about what you do.
Okay, yeah. So my name is Claude, and thanks, Tendai, for having me on your show. And so what I normally do, my main key focus, for the last 2 years is purely going out there and encouraging and motivating people. And I got a channel on YouTube called Daily Motivation with Claude, and pretty much uploading stuff on a weekly basis. Just to give people that motivation, because I feel that a lot of people are in a hole, as we would like to call it, not because of anything, but the fact that there's not enough encouragement out there. So I normally tend to focus on that key aspect of motivating people. I actually have a current group that I'm working with right now, a group which is losing weight. I've got like 6 people that I have on board, just encouraging them on losing weight and sharing tips. So pretty much that's my whole drive, just encouraging, enabling people, to bring that change. I also have another group of young entrepreneurs in Zimbabwe, Africa, which, I'm helping them in developing, finding that niche within the continent and exploring the ideas. You'd be surprised. There's a lot of people out there that have what it takes, but they just need that encouragement. And this is where I come, just to offer that encouragement and a bit of sense of direction.
Absolutely. And I think in a way there, Claude, I think you're being a little bit modest there, because I think, to be honest, I've watched your podcast and I find them quite inspiring. And I think for me, it's the detail in which you analyze obstacles. So if you look at what might be stopping somebody from that goal, that might seem quite simple. Sometimes it's not simple until you write it down. I think it's one of your videos that I saw. I can't remember if it was one of the first ones you sent me, but it was. I think for me, when I watched that, you hear it said in circles that if you want to achieve something, you've got to put it down to goals. You've got to write it down. You've got to break it down. And I think it's one of those things people take for granted, because yes, a goal is what you do, whether you're in business or whether you're going to the gym or whatever. A goal is a very simple thing, and it's normally overlooked. If you want to be, the best rugby player in your class or your team, then you've got to go to the gym a little bit more than everybody else. But how do you actually do that? Because you can say it, but doing it is another thing. So what I found through your videos actually is what's really striking is that you actually break it down to the most minute thing that somebody can think, that makes somebody think twice, if that makes it. And I can't remember one of the examples that you used. I think it was, I think it was the dropping the pebble in the ocean or in the lake kind of thing. And it was just like, actually, and the reason I'm stressing on it is because such a simple analogy, unless if it's formalized in your brain, you're not actually gonna be able to associate with your real life goal that you're trying to achieve. Because as I say, you can say to somebody, I want to be the best person in doing this, sweeping the road, or being the best doctor. But then actually, what does that look like? And I find that with your videos, what's been really great is that the analogy and where you take it, it's probably been the most impactful for me. So so I think you're being slightly, modest,
modest in a way, but definitely, Tenda. I think one of the things that I realized when I took upon motivating individuals is I believe that everyone has a talent. Everyone has a gift that God has given them. Everyone has something to offer, and it differs. Some people are destined to become millionaires. Some people are destined to become doctors. And it necessarily doesn't have to be something prominent, but being the best at, what you do is just bringing out that in ability that you have. And, this is what I focus on, trying to bring out the best in people. And the best in what I do does not necessarily have to be the best in what you do. We all different. But, you know, as you said quite rightfully, you know, it's not so much of a complicated thing trying to bring the best out in people. It's about understanding there's a method in everything that we do. There's a method. If you want to be successful, Bill Gates can teach you how to be successful. If you hang around with Bill Gates for too long, he can show you a method. You know, people think that success is so complicated. It's not so complicated. All you need is the method. If you know how to apply the method, then you're more than guaranteed or more than likely to become successful. And this is where, you know, when you talk about the detail, this is what I try to have people focus on, that regardless of your background, regardless of your walk in life, if you can apply a method in any situation that you are in, you can have the results. You know, so this is what it is tonight. It's simply about going out there, letting these people know, especially the youngsters. I'm more focused in the youngsters nowadays, because this is the generation that is, you know, going to lead, and we need to prepare them. And the sad thing, you know, deviating slightly from what we're talking about, the sad thing about the youth nowadays is an overwhelming majority of them are not interested in anything motivational. It's more to do with, you know, the fun aspect of life, you know, going online and viewing things and material that really bring, you know, fun, joy, entertainment. Entertainment is more popular than motivation. You think about it. If you and I send, you and I, or the most prominent motivational speaker that I can think of, if they were to go online today and send something on YouTube, share something on YouTube, they don't get views. But it's nothing in comparison to, say, if Miley Cyrus, or is it Miley Cyrus?
I think, yeah.
I don't know.
Or Jay-Z, or Beyonce.
Jay-Z. If Beyonce goes online today, it's going to be a lot of following. So people are more interested in things that make them feel good, things that, you know, bring joy to them. But people are not interested in investing long-term in the things that can sustain them. And I think this is where, you know, I feel that I have a responsibility to enable, you know, people by sharing them, you know, with what I know, with what, you know, my journey. You know, I come from a background where, you know, I came into the UK in 1998, and I came here without a plan, without a goal. And I spent nearly half of my time within this country, you know, just working and coming back from work, doing a 9 to 5, until I came to a realization. I looked around me and I saw certain people were amassing wealth. And I thought to myself, if I can apply myself in the same methods these guys are applying themselves, I could get exactly what they're getting. And I did so, you know, and I went from owning one property to the second property to the third property. And, you know, and this is not necessarily about finances, but it's about applying a method that can work for you. And I went from having no relationship to having multiple relationships, to asking myself what I really wanted and applying myself. I had a method, and I used that method to find someone that is now my spouse today, and I'm happy. You know, but it's about knowing the method in which you need to apply yourself. And as I said from the onset, you can become anything you want to become. You can amass anything you want to amass, as long as you apply yourself and follow the method.
Yeah. That's really good, because I think you touched on a couple of things that are quite crucial. I think obviously this platform is called Men Don't Talk United, and you know, obviously we're going to have more information about Claude, yourself, and kind of what you do, sort of signposts so people can find out more, and how they can use the resource that you've made available, and describe so eloquently. But actually, you talk about value, and you talked about the entertainment, and how entertainment is just a you know, a freely accessible thing, as is most things online. And I just kind of wanted to touch on that a little bit, because, you know, I don't know, it really struck a chord. And it's, you know, the entertainment thing is such a free and accessible access. Everybody wants to kind of have fun, and they want to enjoy life. And the value aspect is, I feel, one that's, you know, probably more important for obvious reasons. So when I talk about one of the things that we talk about, Men Don't Talk United, when we talk about, you know, the pressure, and we feel like the pressure on men, and there's a lot of pressure now because of the way the internet is. I heard a very successful digital entrepreneur once say, well, kids don't need to go to school anymore. They don't need the library anymore because everything's on the internet. And I kind of shook my head in understanding and agreement at one point. But then actually, when I look back, it is this, and this is comparing the internet to, say, a library. Now, an internet might have more information, but actually a library is more valuable, because in a library you can speak to a person, so you can access certain bits of information, probably not the same as the internet, but you've got a librarian that can guide you. And you know, and when this pandemic hit, I heard a couple of stories of a couple of individual men. One guy struggled so much and he committed suicide. So there was probably evidence, obviously, that, you know, he was lonely and he was by himself. So the pandemic was you know, too much for him, and, you know, and he didn't make it. So you think, okay, well, there's the internet. So if the internet was there, he could have got all this help that people talk about. So again, it's sort of like that value versus entertainment. And I feel like, you know, what's more important now, not just in this pandemic, but in the future, when we talk about value and what's freely accessible. So having people like yourself who come on and can give people those tools, you know, to sort of like achieve in life. And it's just, I guess I just wanted to touch on that a little bit, because it just struck a chord with me, you know,
Yeah, and
because
you're right though. You know, like to that, this is what I believe. I believe that, you know, change, how we used to conduct business, say 50 years ago, is different from how we conduct business today. So we need to embrace the internet. But as we embrace the internet age, there's also pros and cons. Just to everything that we do, there's pros and cons. And what we need to do is come into a place where we acknowledge the pros and cons and embrace the pros of being in the internet. You know, the internet, it's good in a way, but also, as you put it quite rightfully, it doesn't offer you that social, you know, socializing aspect. So whenever you engage in anything on the internet, it's you don't physically meet anyone, and this is where, as a society, we still need that. And I think that the two go hand in hand. You know, it's about embracing the technology, but at the same time, it's also about, you know, being able to embrace it and collaborate the two together. And once you overlook the other, this is where we might tend to go wrong. And, you know, when you talk about suicide, you know, we're talking about men. It's actually amazing. Like, I was reading the other week that men actually commit more suicide than women. You know, now that you talked about that, I just thought that, you know, I'd mention this because it
yeah,
is quite interesting how people always have this aspect of men being in a position, or it's something that has been programmed into our minds from an early age. It's a condition, and I'd like to call it, it's a conditioning that men have, and it goes back again to the source of information, the entertainment. If you look at most of the entertainment that we have out there, they seem to give this persona of a man being brave, a man being, you know, the one
it's
that
got it all
dominates a
together.
man that's
Yeah,
got it all together.
yeah,
And in reality, it's not like that.
yeah.
You know, I've seen more women that earn more money than men. You know, going back 60, 100 years ago, maybe, you know, we used to live in an economy or in a world where men dominated,
Yeah,
and it's quite different. But for some men, because we don't have these conversations, we
yeah,
don't, men are not too quick to open up.
yeah. That's
And
true.
this is what the issue is. And the reason why we don't open up, most of us, is because of the conditioning of the mind through entertainment, through, you know, the way we're raised up.
Yeah,
I remember growing up, if you cried as a man or as a boy, you'd be frowned upon.
yeah,
And I
definitely.
remember my dad saying, "No, you crying? No, are you a girl?" So
Boys
it's as
don't
if
boys don't
boys
cry.
don't cry.
Yeah,
So, you
yeah.
know, and this is the conditioning that we then grow up with. We grow up, you know, not being able to emotionally express ourselves because we feel vulnerable if we do.
Mm, mm,
We are looked upon as, you know, we lack if we express ourselves.
Mm,
And this is the
mm,
mindset that men need to step away from, because that then puts you in a vulnerable position, because everyone needs that form of comfort. Everyone needs to
yeah.
have someone they can talk to. I remember listening to TD Jakes, and TD Jakes said, "You, you cannot be a man in a solitary way of thinking. You need at least three people that
Mm,
you are accountable to, people that you can open up to,
penny
people you can
drops.
confide in,
Yeah.
people that you can go for honest 360 feedback.
Yeah. Yeah.
We live in a society where if I go to Tendai, I feel like, opening up about my finances to Tendai, for instance, is
Mm,
going to make me feel less of a man, because I cannot provide for my family.
yeah.
And this is one of the issues that is really affecting men, and think
Yeah.
we need to
Yeah.
get away from that way of thinking.
Yeah, yeah. No, thanks very much for that, Claude, because that was actually going to be my next question, and I was going to apologize for putting you on the spot, but actually, because that and I just want to recap a little bit why I started this podcast. Was I used to have my wife say to me a lot, "Men don't talk, men don't talk, men don't talk," and for a while I was just like, "Woman, what on earth are you on about? We talk about everything," but then actually, when she started drilling things down, I was like, "Do you know what? No, you're right." I think I can only remember twice I've only ever cried in front of my wife. But as I've grown in the relationship with my wife, certain things I've started to open up about. And I think you hit the I made the comment, the penny drops, because I think you hit the nail on the head. And I'm hoping this is what other men and also other women will get from this, is that part of the solution is that accountability. So finding two or three guys that we can talk to, and it's
Mm,
not easy. It's not easy, and it's not going to be easy, because, as you say, we've been programmed in a certain way, and
mm,
certainly me growing up, with my culture is, as you said as well. I totally relate to what you said, is that we've
mm.
been we've been brought up a certain way. Boys don't cry, or men don't cry, and
Sure.
we're supposed to go out and look after the family and all that stuff. And whilst all of that is true, we were
Mm,
never really taught about the emotional accountability, because your lack of emotional balance affects your wife, it affects your children, it affects your family, it affects everybody around. So the only
mm,
way really to start unlocking that is getting those two or three people that you can be accountable to.
mm.
And if you don't have people like that you feel like maybe you can't be accountable to, is go out and find those people. And I think that's the other obstacle, is because, as you
Yeah.
say, we've always struggled with opening up. But actually, when it gets to a point where we say, okay, look, I want my child, I want my wife, I want my children to grow up knowing it's okay to share things, whether they're a girl or a boy. And the only way I can do that is seeking help myself and
Yeah.
speaking to somebody. And the thing is, as well, you might not feel that you've got that issue, and that's
Mm,
fine. But you still need to be accountable, because the thing is, as men, some of us do have those issues that we may not necessarily know. So sometimes it might be we just need to do that exercise and
yeah.
finding somebody just to validate that we're okay. And I think,
Yes.
and I'm not gonna for 1 second suggest that maybe that's the answer to the high suicide rates that we see amongst men, but certainly maybe more things like that. And it might be that, whether it's starting a program that's, that starts up some kind of buddy system that is now rolled nationwide or whatever. That might be the start, but I
Yeah.
feel like until men can get together and sort of like parlay, if you want, and talk about these things, then, it's never really going to come out. So maybe even me and you should be the catalyst,
So
of something
you
like this.
and another thing I want to mention as well is, Tendai, look, it's not just about opening up to anyone. You know, my dad always used to tell me, if your car is not working, you go to a mechanic, you get that thing fixed. Okay.
Mm,
If your microwave is not working, get an electrician to have a look at that thing.
mm,
So the other thing is, sometimes as people, we open up to the wrong people.
mm,
Okay. So you need to be very analytical and careful on who you share your business with, because some people are not qualified
mm.
to hear what you've got to tell them. Okay, it's like a pregnant woman going to a teenager talking about, I'm pregnant. No, they don't have the experience. So you
Yeah,
need to stop right there. Identify in what capacity someone can offer you help. And
Mm.
this is where I say you need at least 3 people, but amongst those 3 people, identify who is equipped with what.
Mm.
Growing up, if I had an issue with my finances, I never approached my mother. She was not good with finances. I used to go to my dad, and my dad would give me sound advice based on
Mm.
his knowledge.
Yeah.
And if I needed anything spiritual, if I needed prayer, I'm not going to my dad. I'm going straight to my mom because
Yeah.
that woman was a prayer warrior. So
Mm.
these are the things you need to be able to identify who's who. Because if you go with a broken microwave, an electrician, you're simply wasting your time. So
Yeah.
identify who's equipped at doing what. And
Mm.
at times might be in a situation where people won't know everything. I'm not saying everyone. You are going to have those circle of friends where everyone knows everything, but at times we overwhelm people with things that they're not very are good at handling. And then when we don't get the response that's productive, we
Mm.
have resentment
Mm-hmm.
towards those people. If I come to Tendai and I'm overwhelmed with my finances, and for instance, if Tendai is not equipped with
Mm.
that sort of topic, I'm not going to get the results. And
Yeah.
then at some point in time, if I continue to overwhelm Tendai is not going to be very responsive. So this is the balance where, it's a strategy. This is why I say you need to have a strategy. So
Mm.
if you have a strategy will tell you that if I'm having marital problems, the best person to seek advice from is someone that's equipped. So if you go
Mm.
see a marriage counselor, you're probably going to come out of that relationship
Mm.
with positive results. But if you got a marriage problem, and then you go see Tendai who's had 6 divorces in the last 10
Good luck.
just because Tendai is your friend doesn't mean that you're gonna get. I'm not, and I'm not being skeptical. I'm not saying that sometimes you're not gonna get information, but you need to have a strategy in everything that you do. If you've got a
Yeah.
financial problem as a man, seek people
Yeah.
that are doing well in their finances. Seek people that are doing well in their marriages to get sound advice. And this is what we overlook as men.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, another really good point. And it's just while you were talking there, I'm just trying to get in the minds of the people that might be watching, and just trying to, because I'm just thinking, some might be thinking, okay, well, what if I don't have those people? Like, what did I not have them close or whatever? Or I have no idea who I might choose. And again, it's not trying to put you in the spot, because I might kind of have an answer to that as well. Is we all know that, whether it's you're struggling with maybe thoughts that may not be conducive to healthy living, or a healthy mental state of mind. There are organizations out there, and I'll try and put some on the end of this podcast. People can have those. I know, for example, from my organization, which I will not name, they normally have a number that you can call as well if you want to speak to them. And I have spoken to one of them before when I had a particular bereavement, and it's quite helpful.
Yeah.
But I think, yeah. So it's just to say that sometimes some people may not immediately have those people that they can
Yeah.
contact.
Definitely.
So I don't know if you had any sort of thoughts on that, apart from obviously the regular numbers that you might be able to get. It's just maybe just trying to give them a
I,
different route, if there is one that we can think of at
I,
this.
yeah, definitely. I think that sometimes we complicate life, and my wife always gets annoyed when I say this because she said you kind of simplify things. I
Yeah.
said, well, it's not that complicated. If you're hungry right now and you need food, where do you go to buy your food? You go to the
Yeah.
supermarket.
Yeah.
That's where you'd get a wide range of food. If you want entertainment and you want to watch something rather than on your TV, you go to the cinema.
Mm.
So if you were to go, you said something about entertainment today. We live in a world where we can get information by a click. You
Just
could
like
go onto
that.
the
Yeah.
internet right now and type in motivational stuff and get motivational material in
Mm.
regards to your finances, in regards to anything that you really want to search for. So the information is out there. There's a lot of information, but at times we complicate things too much because when you're going through things, and I think sometimes when you go through things, you don't think straight. But
Mm.
honestly speaking, I think there's a lot of information out there to
Mm.
cater for a lot of needs. Whatever you're going through today, Just
Yeah.
remember that thousands of people have been down. You're not the first one. This is why I always say, when we talk about men not, opening up, there is hundreds and thousands of men that have been in exactly the same
Same position.
situation as you.
Yeah.
You're not
Yeah.
the only one to face financial, constraints
Yeah.
or financial setbacks. You're not the only one to lose a job. You're not the only
Mm.
one to be in a position where you cannot provide for your wife.
Yeah.
You're not the only one that's facing challenges as a man. There is so many men that have been down that road, and all it takes is for you to find out who and what their testimony is, what they did. Someone say to me, if you want to be the best at anything, try to find five. If you find at least five people that are doing exactly what you aspire to do,
Mm.
study their method. And normally their methods are similar. If you look at successful people, they have similar traits. It's not like some of them invent new traits from
Yeah.
somewhere. They have similar traits. And when you apply those traits, this was like, if you know the method, in most things you can succeed. Not
Yeah.
in everything, in
Yeah.
most things. So if you're a man right now and you're facing depression, like I said, there are counselors out there that can counsel you. You know, there's material online. There's a vast amount of resource.
Mm.
Uh, Like I said, once you're in that situation, at times it's hard for you to navigate because everything is cloudy and murky, and at times you feel like you're probably on your own, and you don't
Yeah.
even want to address the
Yeah.
issue. And I think this is where the thing is, isn't it? You don't want to address
Yeah.
the issue because you feel
Yeah.
I might sound insignificant once I start talking about the lack of finances that I have. And we
Mm.
need to get past over that. We need to be able to cross
Yeah.
over that dealing with issues, rather than
Yeah.
sweeping stuff under the carpet.
Yeah. And it's funny because I was just thinking again when you were talking there, I was just sometimes you see these programs or these other motivational things. Some of them make sense, but you get some of them that are just like, oh, 6 keys to unlock wealth and all that kind of stuff. I mean, while some of it I'm sure can be true, but it just comes down to how determined you are. And again, just to touch on the point about like reaching out, because I know sometimes like certain people, they might feel it's difficult because they're either like in a deep depression and they might feel like it's really that sinking feeling. But as you say, there are people out there. So even if it's through your workplace or there's always somebody you can talk to, whether it's in HR or maybe just that guy that's always kind of said hello to you, that's always had a friendly face when nobody else was kind of greeting you, or your local church or your local school, your local community, your neighbor or whatever. You just gotta try and reach out to somebody just so at least you can have that conversation with somebody, and just you find that by having that conversation you feel that there is somebody that can help you, and I know sometimes it might feel like it's hard, but there
Yeah.
is somebody out there. And it's just it's devastating sometimes when I look at just like the suicide rates and stuff, and like amongst men, because you try and think about it yourself. I mean, fortunately for me, I've never really been, I can say, I've been in depression. I may have had thoughts of being like in slight depression. You do get that feeling of like, oh, I just can't be bothered. So I can't even fathom what somebody in deep depression would feel like. But as you say so rightfully, that there is help out there, and it's just like you say, it's just finding that strength to just reach out to somebody. And they are, and I mean, I know there's always like, sometimes it feels like there's doom and gloom with what's going on with the news, constantly trying to paint a grim picture and stuff. But do you know what? I always feel like you're always one or two connections away from finding somebody that needs to help you, like you said. So whether if you somebody doing property, wanting to get into property, or somebody even wanting to get a job, simple like this, you are literally always one or two connections away. And I don't want to trivialize that by talking about wealth and jobs and stuff like that. But it is the same with seeking like help. It's sometimes if you're not going through something, we sometimes we can't tell. So it's literally through by reaching out that and it's just a conversation. Nobody's trying to get you to be anything that you're not. It's just trying to get people to have this conversation, so so other people can help, because there's loads of people, as you say, that out there that want to help. So yeah, so I think
And
that's the thing for me as well.
you know what you said about like before we even get, I think what we need to do is before we even get to a place where you seek or you need help. I think that one of the things that we need to establish is our circles, because our circles really do form who we become.
Mm.
And I think this is where we get it wrong, because you and I, or majority of us in the world today, we are who we are based on what we saw, what we heard. You're not who you are based on your experiences. Experiences do teach you, certain things about life, but an overwhelming amount of the time, you are who you are based on what you heard or what you saw. And let me put it in context. You probably resent or afraid of going to jail, not because you've been to jail. I
Mm.
hope so, but you, the thought of going to jail scares you, terrifies you, because you've seen someone going to jail, or you heard about someone going to jail. So jail is no place for you, because by
Mm.
knowledge, you
Mm.
apply knowledge. It's the same as um, certain things that you you it's not right killing someone, because you probably know of someone that killed someone, and
Mm.
how much despair they brought into to someone else's life, or the outcome, not because you've done it yourself, but you apply wisdom and knowledge through what you've seen or what you've heard. And this is where, as men, I think we need to be careful who we lend our ear to. We talked about earlier on, when we started, about how we've been programmed, or how we've been conditioned to think this way. It's to do with what we've seen or what we've heard. Most of who we are today is about the upbringing, the stuff that we were told. And
Mm.
this is where we need to break that barrier. We need to recondition that mind. We need to start listening to information that says, look, John, it's okay to cry as a man. There's nothing wrong with crying. It's
Mm.
okay to be broke, as long as
Mm.
you don't stay broke. It's okay to lose your job. It's okay. You are going to get into situations where you are not able to provide for your family. That is absolutely fine. It's okay to be weak as a man.
Mm.
Okay,
Mm.
you're not always going to have the strength. Look, this is not a movie where Rambo is strengthened from the beginning till the end. No, there are
Yeah.
going to be times where you lose battles. It's okay to lose.
Yeah.
And that persona, that persona that you get from entertainment, or from growing up, where men are just macho and they've got it all in place. That is the persona that we need to kind of demystify, because it is
Yeah.
not like that in the real world.
Mm.
In the real world, you are going to face challenges where, who knows, maybe your wife is cheating on you. You're
Mm.
trying to hold it together, but you can't talk to someone about that, because you feel that if I open up to my friends, either I'm going to be, ridiculed for my wife cheating on me, or, if anything is affecting me, I might be the only one, because Tendai seems to have it all together.
Mm.
And Tendai doesn't have it all together, because Tendai is just not sharing his information, because he feels exactly the same way you feel. So
Mm.
the more we share, the more this is going back to the point that I'm trying to, make. Be careful of your surroundings, because your surroundings are going to create the person you become. So you need to
Absolutely.
surround yourself with people that don't have that mentality, because the moment you surround yourself with people that have that mentality about man being a certain way, a specific way, that's the
Mm.
moment you start believing in that macho, in that ego, that male ego, and stuff like that. And we need to break away from that. So it's
Yeah.
key, that you surround yourself with people that are open-minded. We need to
Yeah.
break away from that thinking, that 1950s way of thinking of men having, at one point, I remember my
Mm.
wife earned more money than me, and I've never had a problem with that. But I know
No.
guys that will not date a woman if she earns a lot more money than them,
Yeah.
unless they just want to, use that woman for
Whatever. Yeah.
financial gain. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? But to
Yeah.
settle down, some men have an issue with a woman being more educated than them, because they believe that they have to be the ones that lead. They have to be the one that know everything. It's okay not to know everything
Yeah.
as a man.
Yeah.
There are times, and I think that, the relationship between man and women is one where we work together. One is not important than the other.
Yeah.
Both complement each other.
Yeah.
But when you get to a place where, and the other thing as well that I like to mention, Tintai, sorry for kind of going on, is,
No. 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 You go. Go on.
God, it's the comparison factor, where we try to, we try to compare what our folks did back in the 90s. But we try to take that and try to implement it today in the 2000s,
Yeah.
and it
Yeah.
doesn't work.
Yeah.
Or I
Yeah.
try to look at how, Tinda, I go to your house and I see your wife cooking a meal, and you there on the couch, with a bit, that works for your family. I'm not saying there's
Mm.
anything wrong with that,
Yeah.
but the moment I try to exemplify that and implement it in my family, it might not work.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Get to a place where you understand each other's as an individual, as a couple, as an entity. If you're male and female, it's more like running a business. And the way we run our business over here is not going to be the same way we run our business down south.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But the problem is when we begin to compare how Tendai's wife does things for him, and we try to implement that in our, if it doesn't work, then we feel, oh,
Yeah.
something is wrong here.
Yeah.
We feel less. I
Yeah.
can't, I can't, I can't hold my relationship down. You feel less of a man.
Mm. 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 Yeah, and I think you've just touched on just so many things, and I feel like this has been really good. And I think what you said is just kind of put everything into perspective in terms of, the roles have changed so much now. It's just like men are more involved, or at least we think men are more involved. I'm more involved, probably more than my dad was ever involved. And I feel like that's also what's kind of brought more of the issues to the forefront. So with things like, so now we're knowing more about male suicides. Maybe there's like, more pressure, so things are coming out more. So yeah, so it's been really good. It's been really good because it's allowed these things to come out to the forefront, and also I feel like we've unpackaged quite a lot on this podcast. So it's been really good. And maybe next time we could talk about something else. I mean, we'll see how the response is to something like this, but it'd be good to sort of get more of your insight to things like, we mentioned about properties, and maybe go more into sort of the specific goals in terms of what men would want to achieve. So yes, I mean, it's been a real eye opener, this one. And thanks a lot for coming on and sharing your thoughts.
And sorry, Tenda, one thing I like to mention as well. When you look at the statistics, right? If you look at the statistics on male suicides, right? The interesting stuff about suicide, a lot of female actually get diagnosed for depression. So there's a lot of females that are depressed. Okay, but the ones that actually commit suicide are the males. Males actually are 5 times more likely to commit suicide. So this is what's happening. Women are going out there and talking about their issues. This is why you got a lot of diagnoses saying women are depressed. As they speak. So that's something that we need to be able to extrapolate and say, because women talk about their issues, they face depression, but they will not go up to the extent of actually committing a suicide, because talking on its own is a tool. When you
It
talk about
helps.
things, you let things off your chest. You can relate to so many people that are in the same circumstances as you. So you got a burden that is removed away from you because you've talked about it. You don't talk about it, what you do not talk about stays in the dark, and you're only left with yourself to deal with it. So you don't get anyone else's opinion. You never get anyone else's testimony, someone that's been through that same circumstance actually coming up. So this is where the danger is. Although women are diagnosed by through depression, a lot of men actually kill themselves because we don't talk about it. And what I was actually thinking is, when men commit suicide, they do it in a violent, it's so sad, but they actually do it in a violent act.
Wow.
That most die. Like women commit suicide, but it's not as gruesome, as violent as men. Because when a man does it, he's determined, I just want to, make sure
Just
that
want
this
to
is
get
done
out
and
of
over
here.
with.
Yeah.
It's quite depressing, because I think it's that pressure, and it's real, because that pressure that we spoke about, that is real up to the point that people feel that there's no way out. I've let myself down, I've let my family down, and the only way to end this is through such an act. And this is where, I really like the fact that, you came up with this idea tonight, because a lot of men are suffering in silence. And this is where, what you do can really offer a way out for so many men. Because there are issues that need to be addressed. Whatever you don't address can never be resolved. This is it. If you don't address anything, you're far away from resolving it. And the more you don't resolve it, the more complex it becomes.
Yeah.
If you ever been in a situation where someone assumes something and then there's more assumptions and presumptuous activities that are going on, that at the end, when you talk about it, you go, whoa, I didn't know you felt that way. Well, I didn't know you felt. If you had told me, then
Yeah.
it just,
Would
yeah,
have dealt
but
with
you
it
would have
there and
gone through,
then.
yes, exactly. But you would have gone through the pain, the strife, the intensity, the animosity that necessarily you don't need to. If you were to, find a way to talk about issues. And this is why I say, what you're doing,
Mm.
fantastic, and I appreciate, that you're taking your time to do something like this. And I hope that a lot of men, listen to this stuff, because it's the stuff that I think will liberate us as men. And
Absolutely.
me and Tendai might have missed anything, isn't it? So if you think that you could comment
Yeah.
or send some information that you think is vital to in regards to what we've just spoken about,
Yeah.
do so.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, as you say, it's, I feel like more of like a conduit, just to kind of, help other men, help each other basically. And, I'd like to invite people to just kind of share as much as they want, comment, inbox us, inbox me, if there's something that, we feel like we didn't cover and you'd like to maybe come on and talk. I mean, this is what this platform is. And I'm actually really passionate about this, as you are, Claude. And it's, we've got to bring men together. We've got to help each other. Most of us have got families. I mean, some people don't have families. It doesn't matter. We're men at the end of the day. And, so people, please, reach out to us, inbox us, send us message, comment, let us know. Let's just get that dialogue going on. And even if there's things that people feel like we've talked about and maybe it hasn't been accurate, or, you want to add something on there, listen, guys, come out, reach out to us. This platform is not an official thing. It's not owned by the government. It's not owned by any organization. So, I will get anybody on here to talk if I feel it's going to help somebody. So, this platform is for men. We want to help each other. So yeah, thanks to you, Claude, for coming on and bring your insight. It's been really, really, really good, actually. Genuinely, and just kind of like your insight. So yeah. So until next time, let's see. What else we could talk about.
Definitely, I'd love to come back on the next time. Definitely.
Yeah.
And thanks for having me tonight.
Yeah. No worries, buddy.